Hello and welcome to Auto Trash. This is an 18 advisory for all you first-time listeners. I'm Roger, the grumpy one.
I'm Markus, the fucking gobby one.
And I'm Matt, and I'm a juvenile young punk that needs to be straightened out.
Slap that bitch down.
And tonight we have a special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Hey everyone, my name's Daughter. Currently I'm trying to pretend to be a collector of Megatrons and Galvatrons, but I'm a general toy enthusiast and Transformer collector. Some of you may have seen me lurking around various Facebook Transformer groups, or you may recognise me from my TF Source article.
Oh yeah, there you go, big-headed as well. Very humble, yes. I'm a hero. I've been on TF Source. Thank you very much.
So, who'd like to ask the first question, Matt?
Can I have your autograph?
I need to... No, I need to ask the question, Marcus. Wait your turn. There's a queue. David, first question. Do you own a Warden?
I don't own a Warden, no.
Right,
no.
This is thank you all for listening, and
I came close to owning a Warden, but it just didn't happen. I couldn't justify at the time.
Dave, if you see one at AA, look, you've got to get one. You really have got to get one.
Diver.
The quality is there's something else.
Yeah, you could get someone to resculpt a Megatron head for it, and I think it'd work.
There was a Headmaster Megatron, wasn't there? A little minifigure.
Yeah, the little KO ones, yes. Yes, there is, yes.
By Iron Factory or something? Iron something?
I don't know, because I've got a Soundwave version and an oversized one that you can actually put the Soundwave on top of the Headmaster himself. Which is kind of strange, but it looked good. Anyway, the first question, Dave, if you'd like to answer this. The Transformers community, what do you think of it as a whole?
It's one of the finest groups of people I've ever got involved with. No, it's like everything really with any communities. It's a mixed bag. There are some very, very welcoming people, and there are some people who are probably a little bit more introverted and a little bit shy. But on the whole, I've met some of the best friends I've ever made through the Transformers community. So yeah, obviously, present company included, I guess. Yeah.
Next he'll be getting on his knees to us.
Yeah, I mean, until I started collecting Transformers, I always found collecting kind of I don't know, it was something I just did on my own in my spare time, and I never really got involved in any communities as such. So the whole collecting community thing has been a total new eye-opener for me when I started getting back into Transformers. And so for that reason, I guess I don't have anything else to really compare it to over a long time. But, you know, the people I've met from it have been really cool. So I can only judge it on the people I've spoken to, and they have been great. You know, they're always willing to share information and always willing to, you know, kind of help you out if you need some advice for something.
Anybody in your friend group that you'd like to say hello to while you're on here? Give them a shout out and tell them how awesome you are.
Sorry?
Is there anybody you'd like to say hello to, while, you know, in case they're listening?
I mean, the usual crowd of guys I hang out with, I guess. That's Sid, Beckett, and Nick Calloway, and all that mob from over in Banbury. The Hands of Steel guys.
Yay! Oh, fucking really enthusiastic guys.
Oh, sorry. Woo! How's that?
What's that?
You know, all that mob. Like I say, it's odd because I've enjoyed the community aspect, but I'm not the most sociable collector out there. I don't tend to be kind of throwing pictures of my stuff around on groups and stuff. So mainly because I don't find my collection that interesting when stacked up against other people's, I guess. So.
That is
No,
utter rubbish.
That's a load of crap. It
Should always
doesn't
show
matter whether
your
you've only got 2 Transformers or 2,000. It's about how you feel about the toys and what they make you feel.
Yeah, yeah.
It's about the person. That's the important thing.
They're making me feel older and older now with all these anniversaries coming up. Like, we're already on 30 years of Transformers. So.
It's funny, Dave, when somebody says to me, "How many Transformers have you got, Roger?" It's usually somebody who doesn't know me very well. I always say, "I've only got 3." I just always go from there, and then they don't feel out of place then or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, I've only got a Megatron and a Galvatron multiplied by, the rest of my collections.
Would you say that your collection is, because you're saying about Megatron and Galvatron, would you say it's like, Decepticon leaders?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, when I set out collecting, just to give a kind of potted history as best I can, I started out thinking I'll just collect the Transformers I had when I was a kid. And then I started collecting a couple of Transformers that mates of mine had when I was a kid that I always kind of wanted. And then I just thought, well, now I've gone this far, I might as well just start collecting other stuff I like. And by that time, I'd kind of lost focus and was just getting, an Ultra Magnus here and a Power Master Prime over there, and it was just a shelf of Transformers that were just kind of unrelated, and I wanted something a bit more coherent, I suppose. And also, having stopped collecting Transformers in G1 and then coming back to it in the mid-2000s, there'd been,
A lot of changes.
Wars, Armada, Robots in Disguise, and the whole Unicron trilogy. Because I started collecting again, kind of a bit casually, around the time Animated came out. So we'd had, a load of stuff that I was just clueless on. So when I wanted to collect more seriously, I essentially wanted to be able to take a character and look at it through the entirety of Transformers.
And try and concentrate on that character.
Yeah, and with
Megatron,
it makes it easy because, Megatron, G1 Galvatron was always a figure I wanted as a kid. Even though looking at it now, it's kind of clunky and a bit
shit.
It's a bit limited.
I like it.
To modern standards, but
So you think one of those toys that was designed to last?
Yeah, I really wanted G1 Galvatron at the time. And so that it was a figure I wanted to get in that instance, or in that incarnation. And there was also a bit of serendipity to it. I found that I kept coming across Megatrons at collectors' fairs and flea markets and stuff. And so before I knew it, I had like 5 Megatrons. I ended up with the Voyager size Energon Megatron, the Leader class Energon Megatron, the Dark of the Moon Megatron, and I wanted a G1 Galvatron, so I got one without any of his stuff for about £7 off eBay, and that was like the kind of the start of my collection of just collecting that one character. Since then, I've kind of also started getting the more high-end pieces, so some micro change gun robo figures and bits like that. But that's only come later. So originally, just the kind of core Megatrons I wanted.
What's your Rachel like? What's her attitude towards you as a grown man collecting toys?
Well, when I met Rachel, I just put my cards on the table and said I collect. Like in my opening gambit at the start of meeting, I just thought, well, I might as well just say I collect toys and stuff, because if someone's not going to like it, then this is going to be unworkable. So she knew from day one what I was like, and she's kind of, embraced is probably the wrong word. There are times when she gets sick of it, but
Or does she feel you put the toys first sometimes?
she's pretty understanding of it. Sorry?
Does she feel you put the toys first sometimes?
No, she knows that if it came down to there's a toy I want or we need to pay a bill, the bill will always get paid. So
Good man.
my priorities are I pay everything I need to pay, and then whatever money I have left, I buy Transformers or whatever toys I've got my eye on at the time.
I think we're all similar to that. We'll pay everything off first, and then whatever's left over.
And and so we've got this kind of, because I'm like that with it, she kind of understands. I was given one room in our. We've got a 2-bedroom apartment, and the spare room was my domain, if you would.
Man cave.
Yeah, or like Dave's cave of
Dave's cave.
I like
he
it.
called it. But yeah, that was kind of supposed to be my realm, and it has spilled out a
Your
little
room
bit.
or your realm?
My realm, not my room. But but it has come out slightly from there. But I mean, it's boundaries are there to be pushed, I guess. But I think if it ever got too much, then she'd let me know. We kind of, I understand she's not a collector, and she understands that I am, and
Does she ever
in a balance. So.
does she ever go to your shelves and pick up a Transformer and say, "Oh, tell me a little bit about this one"?
Yeah, have a look, ask for its history.
Yeah, she goes, "Oh, I like this guy. He's purple." And I go, "Can you put that one down? He's a."
Oh, she holds something purple.
But
And
the problem is she likes, one of her favourite colours is purple. So obviously collecting Galvatrons and Megatrons, there's quite a lot of purple in my collection.
So eHobby Galvatron's the favourite then?
Hers would be, or one of the dark Energon remakes of a Megatron.
Yeah, don't worry, my girlfriend's the same with purple Transformers. As soon as she sees a new purple one, oh, I like that one. Like, instantly took a shot of Quake Wave as soon as I opened the box.
don't you find it strange, guys, that women seem to like something big and purple they can play with? Like, I don't know, a Galvatron or a Shockwave or something. What?
Yeah.
So once they get in their hand, they play with it and they go, bloody hell, this is getting really hard. Can you do it for me? Why should I do it myself?
Also, trash, ladies and gentlemen.
I am talking about Transformers here. You know that, guys.
What is your favourite line? Talking about Transformers, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm always going to be biased and say G1 because I have that affinity with it.
Boyhood of Affinity.
Because it evokes a nostalgia that nothing else does. But I really like the some of the figures that came out in like the Energon line. I've kind of rediscovered those and coming back to them. I know it was like a kind of Takara led line, and that like the Megatron from that line is particularly nice. That's become one of kind of my sub favourites, I suppose, outside of G1. And I've ended up with that figure in a few incantations because they released Shattered Glass Box and they recoloured it purple for Galvatron, and there was the 2 sizes anyway for Megatron. So yeah, I really like that kind of era. I'm less interested or less excited by the newer stuff. Obviously, still have it because it fits in the collection. But I can feel myself every time I buy a newer figure that I don't like. I kind of question what I'm doing. Because it's a kind of sadistic thing at that point when you're spending.
You're obligated to have to constantly buy every Megatron that exists and every Galvatron that exists.
Well, I kind of like it when I could, because I've even got like Beast Machines Megatron, which is probably universally one of the worst because it's tiny and it's
Dragon Megatron with the weird wings, right?
Yeah, he looks like he's wearing a flasher Mac in robot mode.
Yeah, that is exactly.
Just horrible. But I've still got it there because you kind of need the light with the dark, right?
Yeah.
And
I know where you're coming from there, because
so for the purpose of my collection, I need to take. I'm kind of taking a rough with the smooth and looking at it. But I mean, some figures that people told me they hate, I quite like. I mean, I like Universe Galvatron, which I know is universally hated and slated by a lot of people.
I can't comment on that toy. I never owned one. All I've just got is people telling me how rubbish it is.
I've ended up.
I like it, but it's shit. It falls apart. But character.
Well, it's got those weird like other feet for tank mode.
Yes.
So it's not perfect, but I kind of like it. But then there aren't many Galvatrons, so
That's true.
you know, I guess Mania, Mania King is as good as there is at the moment on a commercial release.
Unless you can't finally do a masterpiece.
I like the quality of the Mania King. I think it's one of UT's best bring-ins so far. But Dave, going off Megatrons for a minute, what is your favourite third-party toy?
I mean, I don't have an awful lot of third-party figures. Probably out of the ones I've got, it's going to be boringly and predictably, I suppose, probably Mania King, based on the ones I've got, and the kind of quality of that figure versus, like, I've got the the older the battle armor that goes on the Classics Ultra Magnus figure, and that's a lovely piece. But when you look at it with what's out there today, you can really see how the third party industry's evolved and improved and
really took off, hasn't it?
And I'm not. Third party isn't. I'm not at all a kind of third party expert or a particular third party collector. I have a few bits that I've been given by some good mates of mine, and I've got a couple of bits I bought, but out of what I've got, I mean, the quality of Mania King, it was the all round delivery on it, even down to the box and the instruction sheet and the card that came with it. It was just a really nice unit. Well, it wasn't a nice figure put in a crappy packet. It was a nice figure in a nice box, nicely presented.
Going off at a tangent for a while, you say that you collect other toys from the 80s and 90s era.
Yeah.
Samples and some of your favourites.
Yeah, sure.
That'd be good. I'd like to hear this.
I mean, I've got the obvious ones like Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that I still insist on calling Hero Turtles half the time, and people don't know what you're talking about.
I still do that. I still call it Hero Turtles.
Yeah.
So I got it took me a while to track it down, but I found the sewer playset boxed in a Hero Turtles branded with the Hero Turtles branding. Sorry. So that was kind of that was a big tick in the box getting that one.
So I bet you like the looks of like the new Lego Turtle sets and like Ghostbusters and stuff like that.
Yeah, the new Turtles Lego. I picked up a couple of the smaller ones. I've also got the new Classics Turtles. They're really nice. But again, even with my Turtles, I've kind of focused on because if you just go, I collect 80s and early 90s toys. There's just so much, and to collect everything would, one, bankrupt me, and two, I could never have a house big enough. So I've kind of always have to restrict myself within my sub collections. So with Turtles, I tend to try and collect. Like, I'm a big fan of Bebop, so I've collected kind of all the Bebops that there have been, like the Transformation one and the standard one, and then there's the new one that's come out, and a couple of other weird, like towards the end of the line, they started doing some really weird Turtles toys. So I've got a couple of mint on card Star Trek crossover Turtles.
I saw them. They look good. They do.
They're just odd, but they're
interesting.
It's from a time when, like toy companies were just, computer games back then weren't what they are now, and so toy companies were just I suppose they had the revenue to just do all these bizarre things on a chance that it might work. And sometimes it didn't, sometimes it did. But Turtles is one of those great lines where there was turtles that had like troll hair, and just some really crazy things. And obviously, I also got some Thundercats in my collection.
I like Thundercats.
Oh, Thundercats.
Yeah,
I like the older stuff of the Thundercats. The new stuff I'm not quite sure about, to be honest.
the new line I bought again, focusing in on characters. So I really like Tigra. He's always been a guy I've liked. So I got mainly Tigers, and then Bengali from the original line. He was another figure I had to hunt down because he's pretty rare. That's around the time when the Thundercat toys started getting smaller runs on them. That kind of second season and around the movie. My Thundercat collection is mainly vintage with a couple of the newer bits. It's a shame the new toy line didn't take off more, really, because it was really ramping up to be one of those toy lines where they were just going to do everything. Kind of like the original Thundercats toy line. And I quite like toy lines where they do that, like the Star Wars thing of just producing that one character you see in one scene for about 2 seconds, but you can have them in a figure.
You say about
Man
Star Wars,
like that.
yeah. You said about Star Wars, and I hear you have a favourite character.
I do, yeah.
The trap!
I'm a little bit into my Black Bar on the Star Wars line.
I heard it's a fetish. You dress up and all sorts.
I do. I have a mask.
Oh my god! Good lad.
I like it. That's
good. There's a bit of an odd story about it. It's no longer an Black Bar mask. I met Tim Rose, the guy who was the puppeteer behind Black Bar. So he didn't do the voice, but he was the guy in the suit working the head. And so I had my Black Bar mask there, and I said, "Could you sign it?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure." So he went to write, "Dave, it's a trap." at Black Bar. But while he was writing it, I was just talking about some of the other work he'd done, which include Howard the Duck. And apparently, me talking about Howard the Duck made him write Amalak Dar instead of Amalak. So I'm now the only person on the planet who owns an Amalak Dar mask, which is nice, I guess. But yeah, he was kind of good about it because he'd written in permanent scarf. He'd made the error. It was either scribble it out or leave it as it is. So we just left it as it is. And I have a kind of crappy story that I can tell at dinner parties now.
That's not a crappy story at all. It's very good.
That is probably one of the coolest stories.
Amalak Bar is it kind of all started as a bit of a joke between me and one of my best mates many years ago when we were at a convention. It was around the time of the Amalak Bar Mighty mug coming out, and it kind of just amused us that they'd bothered to make a Mighty mug of that particular figure, who was so obscure, and from that just ended up in this kind of Amalak Bar fetish, as some people seem to call it now.
Well, not some people, I call it that.
I've heard it called fetish before.
All good taste.
Yeah. And Andy Kapow spoke to me at AA and said, "I hear you've got an Akbar problem." So that made it sound like I was some sort of Akbar sex offender. But
or you needed to wash and you stopped the fish.
Or like I've got an infestation of Akbars at home. But yeah, I think I've got about 14 of the original Akbar figure now.
All different.
Just the original, the one from the original line. There are only 2 variations of it. There's one with a slightly greyer tunic.
So is it like hello, I'm Dave. Nice to meet you. Have an Akbar.
Well, yeah. If I see one at a boot, it's like a kind of if I see one at a boot sale, I just feel sorry for it, so I'll just get it and give it a good. Put it in with the other Akbars so it can live.
So I take it, Dave, that your collection's from everywhere, from car boot sales to eBay.
Yeah, as my collecting has got a little bit. I don't like to use terms like high end, but it's more expensive to buy the mint in box stuff and the rarer pieces. Whereas when I started out, I'd kind of go, "Oh, great, yeah, I'll buy this loose figure for £2 and this one for tenner." And you can go, if you're collecting that kind of grade of figure, you can get loads quickly. When you start wanting the stuff that's £90 or £150, then you can only get like one bit a month or what have you.
It's funny because me, Dave, and Marcus, we do like the high end third party stuff. A lot of it. It doesn't stop us buying cheap stuff though.
No, but I mean it's budget. No, it doesn't stop me buying them. But I mean, if I buy one expensive piece a month, I don't then buy anything else just because of my
like the Ultra Magnus you got. Because you got a Magnus in you a while back, and that was round about £80. Was it the City Commander?
Yeah. So I bought that one off of Martin, and then I kind of
It's a good
didn't buy
price.
so much that month. Yeah, it was lovely. I'd been after the City Commander for a while because it was the first third party toy I'd seen that had made me think, third party's worth taking some interest in. And then there were a few I was kind of toying with the idea of getting some of the early third party combiners. And I probably should have done now because a lot of those have been the best investments in recent years.
So is your collection? I'm not going to say all of it because I know some of it you love and you'd never let go. But would you say quite a bit of it is future investment for you?
There's not. I don't buy it as an investment. I buy it for the collection. But some of the stuff that I've bought that's been of a higher value, I bought with kind of in the back of my mind, thinking that I'll keep this piece in a nicer condition. So, like with my micro change gun robo, that is a piece that I try and keep in nice order because there's a resale value there. And if I was just kind of, if I ripped the box up and threw the box away, displayed the figure and let it corrode in the light, it would have less resale value, but then it would have less enjoyment for somebody else who might want it in the future. So, I'm kind of, it's not the main thrust of it, but it's something with some of the pieces that's in the back of my mind when I'm deciding how to display them or what to do. There's some pieces that I just, vintage. I bought a couple of G1 pieces and G2 pieces that have been mint in box when I bought them, and I just threw the box away because I wanted to display them. I bought one of the jets, I can't remember which one it was now, but it came on a blister card, and I just opened the blister card up and threw the packet away, just because I wanted to get the toy and have a look at it.
You wanted to see what it was, didn't you? Because you had every intention of keeping it for yourself.
Yeah. I mean, with that kind of figure, you kind of want to experience the figure. So with my G1 Megatrons, I've got the mould. I haven't actually counted it up for a while, but I must have it 7 or 8 times now. So if I get a mint in box G1 original Megatron, I don't need to open it because
you've already got a figure.
And I've got one on my shelf that I can transform and have a look at. I do like to have transformers there that I can interact with because that's what they're for, and that's why I loved them as a kid, because you could turn them from a robot into whatever and back again, as they famously had written on there.
So when you were as a kid, did you like space and aliens and sci-fi sort of stuff, and Transformers like the epitome of it all?
Yeah, well, pretty much most of the cartoons growing up as a kid had a space kind of
Space Precinct,
like Space Precinct, yeah. So Space Precinct is another kind
of your favourites
toy line that I collect. Well, I like Jerry Anderson's work.
Oh,
and
same here, massive.
The problem is with everything else he's done, like Captain Scarlet and Thunderbirds, to try and start collecting it, you can collect that and fill up a room on its own because you've had so many releases of it and it's such a long-standing toy line and everything else that goes with it. So I kind of wanted a Jerry Anderson toy line I could collect that was quite contained. And luckily, Space Precinct only had an initial run of 16 figures and then disappeared. So it's quite easy to collect all of them. And there's also some other really weird stuff they produce, like there was a Space Precinct Plaster of Paris mould kit, and a Space Precinct like tea tray, and Space Precinct. Well, I've also got a Space Precinct crew jacket.
Have you got the tea tray?
Not yet. There's one on eBay at the moment, but it's £30. £30 for it. So I'm hoping it doesn't sell in the next 22 days, and then I can contact the guy who's selling it.
Have you got all the figures though?
Yeah, I've got the
good.
mint in card and all mint, and all off card as well. So I've got all the figures twice. So I've got the entire run with vehicles boxed and unboxed. But like there was oddly, Space Precinct's the only line I know where it's easier to pick up figures that are still in their packets.
I'm trying to persuade Rita to watch it.
It doesn't seem like many kids wanted them on Christmas Day and ripped the packets open. So there's still loads of them out there unsold, still mixed box.
Find them.
But yeah, it's like I say, I'm mainly collecting it because of my interest in Jerry Anderson. And it started off as a slightly ironic joke that got a little bit out of hand, and now I've picked up with the Space Precinct stuff. Yeah, and that's like the Akbars. It's a thing that kind of I've got a bit known for.
Ticks your boxes.
They're like, you're the guy who collects the Space Precinct. As if I'm the only guy in the world who can be given that label, which possibly true. I don't know.
Makes you unique.
Yeah, I'm the guy buying anything Space Precinct on eBay.
Did you get any of the Thunderbird stuff as well, or just a couple?
I've kind of avoided doing it because it's another can of worms. I've got like the hood, a little figure of the hood, and that's as far as I've gone. Because I know if I buy Thunderbird 2, I'm going to want the rest, and then if I get all of them, I want Tracy Island, and then when I've got Tracy Island, I might as well buy the figures, and then when I've got all the matches,
never-ending spiral.
Yeah. Well, if you wanted to, next year's the new series of Thunderbirds. If you want to do their take on it, the next next year, if you want to get one.
Yeah, no, one of my mates. In fact, it was Sid. Bought me for Christmas the Thunderbirds movie, the wonderful with Busted on the soundtrack Thunderbirds movie.
Oh no, not that.
Yeah, not Thunderbirds a go, not the good stuff. He bought me that, so it's sitting unwatched at the moment.
I went to the cinema to watch that. The one directed by by what's he called? Jonathan Frakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the cinema to watch that as well. I was just sitting there watching it, going, "Poor Ben Kingsley's talents wasted again."
Yeah, but did you enjoy it, Matt?
No, it was a horrendous piece of shit.
I quite liked it.
Awful.
I'm awful.
I don't know why you're slagging it off. It's awesome. It makes a great coaster when you want to put your mug down and not stain your table.
Oh yeah, that is very true. I even actually bought the Thunderbird toys for the movie because as terrible as the movie,
You're a sad git.
I know. It's just a guy who collects Transformers. I know.
Second-hand condoms. Yeah, I know. I've seen your collection.
Second-hand condoms. How do you know about my collection, dirty bastard?
Because I sold you the second-hand toilet paper to go with them.
True.
Yes. When are you going to ask a question, Matt?
I was going to get back to Transformers. I was going to ask you, David, sir, senpai.
Yeah.
Obviously, you like Megatron. You've got collected many Megatrons, many Galvatrons. But what, apart from the toys, what about the actual character? Like, obviously, apart from G1, Beast Wars, the Unicorn Trilogy, all that, what really drew you to his character? And what version do you like best? 'Cause there's so many different incarnations of him.
I just think he's. I mean, with Prime, he's very righteous, isn't he, and all that stuff. That can get a little bit boring sometimes. And Megatron he's just whenever they reimagine him, they always manage to make him as unhinged as he's ever been. And that's just appealing to me, I guess. Maybe that says more about me than it does about the character. But
Basically admitting you're a sadistic bastard in your heart.
Yeah.
I like you. You're my friend now.
I mean, even in like the original movie that everybody remembers the first time they see the movie and the first time Megatron turns into Galvatron, he's just completely unhinged and and mental.
That's my next question for you, Dave.
Sorry?
That's my next question for you. Are the Michael Bay movies, are they really movies, or is there only one true movie?
Maneuver?
Yes, is there one true movie?
What's a maneuver?
I shall stand and Bay should be put in a bin.
I mean, the Michael Bay movies,
Guilty pleasure?
aren't, no, not a pleasure. So I own them because they put them in nice transforming boxes, and I was a sucker when I bought them.
I've got that as well.
The final movie came in a Megatron box, so that was a complete sold for me. But they are, I mean, they're not made for me, and I'm sure they're not made for any of us here. But without them, we wouldn't have this current kind of renaissance that Transformers is going through.
Yeah,
They've really pushed the franchise.
A bit like World War II. Without all the carnage and death, we wouldn't have the technology we had today, I suppose. It's the same principle.
You know, every cloud.
Yeah.
But without the buzz that they've created and without the kind of cash cow they've become, you love them or hate them, and they're quite a marmitey subject. People either go, "Oh, they're brilliant," or "I really enjoy them," or people go, "They're rubbish." I've never met anybody who's sort of nonchalant about them. The last one I went to see, I went and saw in 3D and paid over a tenner to go watch it.
Ooh.
And then just kind of, I mean, it's like the original Star Wars not the original Star Wars trilogy, the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
I avoided watching for years because I knew it was going to be crap. And with the Michael Bay movies, every time I know it's going to be rubbish. I know what to expect, but I still cough up my money and go and watch it. So I don't know if that makes me a sucker or Bay an arsehole for making terrible movies. Or
Curiosity about where it's going?
Yeah, or the truth is somewhere in between the two. But without them and without the audiences going to see them and without all the buzz they generate, maybe it is coincidence, but we've seen this massive resurgence and all the masterpieces coming out. They're coming out quicker than they did before the first movie. That might just be coincidence, or it might be that we've got this buzz because of the movies, and so we're getting some really nice stuff coming out.
Do you think also...
sorry.
Oh, sorry, you go first.
Okay, thank you. I presume you're a bit of a Star Wars fan then?
I like the original 3 movies, and then I originally didn't go and see the prequel at all at the cinema until it was about 2 years ago, I think they started putting them back on at the cinema in 3D, and I went and saw the Phantom Menace then for the first time, knowing it was going to be rubbish, and it was confirmed that it was rubbish, and since then I've watched the other 2 and they're equally as terrible. But it hasn't undone my love for the first one. It's like all of these things, like Transformers or whatever. You watch the current Transformers movies, and whether you love them or hate them, it's never detracted from my enjoyment of the original stuff.
Can I ask you a very important Star Wars related question?
Yeah.
It's very important. I'm not going to ask something silly like, did Han really shoot first? Because we all know he just shot. There was no first, there was no second. This is the important one. Have you ever asked your missus to dress up as Princess Leia in a slave girl outfit?
No.
No.
Liar.
Well, I have got the Amral Akbar mask on standby.
I had to ask the question because all Star Wars fans have that sort of fetish, and Rita won't wear a slave girl outfit. I told her I'll dress up as Jabba the Hutt. All I got to do is get naked, and there you go. Haha.
Jabba Wanky, Dada Poodoo.
Yeah, Jabba what a wanky. Yeah, thank you very much. But I see me Rancor, it's right down there, ready to pit.
Right, she said to my girl, did you get in a Princess Leia slave out? She'd go, Princess who? She wouldn't know what it was. She's never seen Star Wars.
I suppose the worst thing is if you ask your girlfriend to dress up as Princess Leia, if she asks you to dress up as Princess Leia as well, then you know there's an issue. Or it's quite nice, I don't know.
I don't know if I'll put the slave outfit on and go, drafting.
Rob's random
He's
moves.
done it. Matt's done it. I can't remember what I was going to ask you now, Dave.
He's got visions of Matt dressed in Leia's slave girl outfit.
You don't wet dreams about me, aren't you, Roger? Thinking about me in a slave girl outfit. Oh.
Marcus, you got another question for Dave?
No.
I'll ask one. David, do you have a favourite Megatron character? Like, of all the different personas that have ever been, which one would be your favourite and why?
I think I'm going to have to go a little bit predictable and boring, I suppose, and it would have to be the Galvatron from the movie.
Oh,
So
Galvatron, sorry. Should have asked for Decepticon leader.
He still is technically a Megatron.
well, he was in the movie, yeah, he started as Megatron, but I think the second part of the movie where he's Galvatron, and it's there's just something about that. I think it just taps into something from my childhood. Still watching it,
Primordial.
and I think I always found Starscream a bit of a twat. So
Yes, as
When-
soon as Galvatron came in and just said,
when
I'm going to ice a
Galvatron
bitch,
turned up,
you liked him.
it's brilliant. Yeah.
It's just bad comedy, that is, though, isn't it? Come on, a round of applause or a sigh in enthusiasm.
Well
Thank
done,
you very
Marcus.
much.
Well done. Go on then.
Before we wrap up, because obviously we're coming to the end, one very, very important question I really must ask. Is there a toy in your collection that has an emotional meaning to you? Something that's very, very special?
Wow. Are we talking like kind of official release or just something I've been...
Something that's maybe from your childhood that you'll always look at and it'll just bring out a sort of response from you that makes you feel either warm and fuzzy inside or maybe a little sad, and a story behind it would be lovely.
Yeah.
The figure out of my collection that is the one that I guess brings on the biggest pang of nostalgia when I look at it would be Target Master Slugslinger, and it's because when I was a kid, I remember my best mate had Target Master Slugslinger, and I didn't have Target Master Slugslinger, and that was always a little bit of a sad situation for me. I think he's a great toy. And now obviously the tables have turned because my friend doesn't have any Transformers, and I still do at the age of 30. So
You're young, Dave. Don't worry.
Yes, he's only young.
But yeah, that's the toy that when I got it, I remember it was the one that filled me with sort of the most childish joy when I got it. In this sort of like, oh my god, I've waited, I don't even know, 23 years or something to own that guy, and so to finally have him, and it's a kind of emotional response that I think when you try and talk to people who don't collect, they
don't understand.
You're coming across as a bit of a sad act, but it's definitely, whatever your collection is, there's always those pieces that you've waited that long for, whether it's a Transformer, or whether you like stamps, or whether you collect cars, or whatever you collect, there's always that one thing that you've kind of had in the back of your mind for years, and when you finally get it, it does bring on a bit of a kind of reaction, if not an outward reaction, definitely something inside of you that you just think it's a kind of, it just brings back those childhood memories of getting toys, I guess. I remember when I was a kid getting Transformers, even ones that maybe we look at them and think they're a bit crappy, like Joyride. Joyride and was over the moon Now you look at him and you think he's a bit crummy, I'm sure, because he's not the most articulated toy. You know, it's that kind of childhood wonder that I like to try and recreate when I'm collecting. Not all about the most intricate or the most articulated for me. It's just about getting that excitement when I pick up something.
I think that's something that we all suffer from in a way. We sort of reenact our childhood, even though we're through an adult's eyes.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that at all.
I think it's a good time. For most people, your childhood is. You know, I know some people have horrendous childhoods, but for those of us who had enjoyable childhoods, that's, I suppose, it's the way of trying to revisit that time without being weird and dressing up as an adult baby or anything odd like that. You're just trying to, have a large collection of toys because toys are kind of fun and they look kind of neat.
Like really keeping yourself a young person inside alive, the child inside you alive, so you can enjoy life. You only get one life, don't you, Dave?
Yeah.
Might as well enjoy it the way you want to. And obviously, as we all know, there's a community out there for us. We're not stupid, we're not idiotic, we're not creepy. Well, except for Roger. But, we're quite enjoyable people. We're intelligent, except for Roger. We're good looking, except for Matt.
Oh,
and we've got beards.
Oh, you suckball.
I have a question. Dave?
Yeah?
And yet the other two are going to say to me, why did you ask Dave that? You said you weren't going to ask anything about that. My question is, what do you think of Hands of Steel?
Oh, right.
I've really enjoyed being a member of it.
You've been a member about a year now, haven't you?
Yeah, before I came to Hands of Steel through Sid, obviously, as most people will know. And at the time, I just kind of started getting back into Transformers in a big way. I kind of collected a few bits here and there over a few years, but I'd started collecting more seriously. And up until that point of joining Hands of Steel, collecting had always just been a kind of solitary pastime for me, for my own amusement, and not something I really talked to anyone about or discussed with anybody. And I'm still not the most outgoing person. I don't tend to put...
Dave, you're more outgoing than quite a few people on there.
But I mean, I probably don't post as many photos of what I'm collecting, but it's just because I'm...
Quality, Dave, not quantity.
A bit solitary with my collecting activities. But Hands of Steel has been a great breath of fresh air, really. I've made many great friends through it. And also, I've some people who I knew outside of Hands of Steel I've brought to it, like Mark, aka Mr. Ignition Terminals. Came into Hands of Steel through me. I knew him, in the real world, if you would, outside of the internet. And, it's just been a place for that kind of Transformery chat that's, nice to have it contained in that way. So if I want to talk to somebody about some figure that I know people I work with or Rachel, and nobody else is going to give the tiniest piece of, fecal matter about, I just go on Hands of Steel and say, hey guys, what do you think of this? Or does anyone have one for sale? Or
it's more than a Facebook group, isn't it?
And it's become a kind of extension of my friendship group. Most people on there I'm friends with now. So,
anybody else you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I mean, like people of Hands of Steel who've done me great favours over the time. So, like James White or Jimmy Blanco.
Yeah.
The ninja, the naked ninja.
Azrael Bott, Simon. He's been a great help.
Very nice chap.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I'm going to embarrass myself now and probably forget people. Dean, you can't not mention Dean. He's always always doing me some good bargains on some bits and pieces, and he's a bloody nice bloke to boot. My memory's letting me down here. I'm sure there's others I've forgotten, which is why I probably shouldn't have
Not that
started.
important, as long as you realise that HOS is just a bunch of good people.
But all those guys in HOS who I chat to and banter with, they're all top lads and lasses now. I know we've got a couple of
couple now.
Yeah.
What, we've got women on it? Where?
It's no longer
I'm going to get slapped for that.
You deserve it for that.
I've just got a dirty look off my missus.
Well, it's not only Rita.
I ain't getting no sex for a month now, man.
Not only Rita, Trish, Lisa Darkest Hour.
Yeah.
I think she's called. There's Roxanne, that Alex Loudon's mate. She's still on it. She doesn't actually come onto the group very often and say hello or anything, but she's still on it. I can't think of anything else.
Ashley.
Oh yes, Ashlyn.
Yes. And Chris Simon, a shout out to him, her. I didn't know which denomination to put there, and I say it with respect. Have a multitude of different people, and it's just fantastic. I think it's good anyway. And I'm glad other people enjoy it.
I'm just going to do a quick shout out to Jeremy, wishing him best of luck at the doctor's today, because he's gone for some results to some tests, so good luck, Jeremy.
When you get back for the doctors, mate, get to play with your Fortis Arbitron Optimus kit, don't you? Well, hopefully we'll ride through the post by then.
And I'd like to give a shout out to Dave Shorter for being flipping awesome.
Yes, agreed.
And coming on here and entertaining us with his life.
Thanks very much, Dave.
Yes, thank you very much, mate.
We'll hope that a little bit further down the line, because we want to get a few people interviewed as well, that you'll come back and do a follow-up episode to this.
Yeah, of course. If it's been interesting enough,
I've enjoyed it.
I might have another Star Wars anecdote by then. So we don't know.
So, Marcus, Matt, do one of you two want to sign off, and then we'll pop back on in a minute?
Yep.
Yes, we'll sign off and come back and then finish off. And I'd like to say it's been a pleasure, Dave Shorter. It's been an absolute pleasure, sir.
Yep.
Thank you for joining.